I see how popular these online personality tests are, and I'm just like, no. I see people like, I can't date INFJs, like they're not compatible with my personality style. Research tells us that personality changes over time naturally, and that you can speed up those personality changes by taking these intentional actions. I mean, these tests are fun to take, and you can think of them as like a starting point, right? Don't get put in a personality test box and then be like, well, I couldn't do like X thing because I'm not Y characteristic enough.
Hi, everyone. My name is Anesha, and I'm your host for the Wellness Plus podcast. In today's episode, I'm joined by Dr. Shannon Sauer-Zavala, a clinical psychologist and academic researcher. With a career devoted to developing effective psychological treatments, Dr. Sauer-Zavala's expertise extends beyond traditional therapy. Join us as she shares groundbreaking insights into the science of personality change and offers practical strategies to empower others in shaping their personality for success. Hi, Shannon. How are you?
Good, thanks. Thanks so much for having me, Anesha.
We're really excited to have you share your insights and your wisdom and everything about psych. So, you've mentioned your own experiences with personality change over time, from being perceived as shy to becoming a successful academic and speaker. Could you delve into your personal journey of transformation and the pivotal moments of realizations that influenced your path?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm a clinical psychologist now, and I see patients, and I work, at a university doing clinical trial research, and that takes a lot of like organization. It takes a lot of like willingness to sort of get out, kind of promote your work, whether in academic circles or as I've been trying to do more recently, like try to communicate directly with people via social media, kind of evidence-based strategies to improve your mental health. Definitely have experienced a lot of change, in terms of my own personality that kind of got me to this place. So when I was starting out as like a person, I was definitely more shy, kind of hung back and observed in social situations, didn't necessarily raise my hand in class. And so a lot of times when we think about like personality and personality change, part of what I think can kind of limit or keep us in like a particular box is like how we view ourselves. Like I couldn't possibly, get up and talk in front of hundreds of people, right? I just gave a TED talk 2 weeks ago, and like doing that, 20 years ago would have seemed impossible. I also was sort of like not really the best student. So, I think I have like decent aptitude, like I'm smart enough, but, really performed haphazardly, like really couldn't get it together to have like a really consistent performance. And I think for me, it was really finding something that felt like rewarding to study. So another real important principle of personality change is reinforcement, right? So like how the environment responds when you behave a certain way. And so for me, I think a real turning point in like both when you think about personality change, you really need like motivation because it's hard, right? And so for me, I think like kind of the catalyst or the starting point was kind of enrolling by chance in an introduction to psychology course my freshman year of college. And, really unlike me, despite it being at 8 a.m., I managed to get myself up and to class for every meeting. And I was rewarded because I performed really well on the first exam. And the TA pulled me aside. I remember this so clearly. And she was like, Shannon, you should seriously consider majoring in psychology. And because I didn't have like a ton of direction, I was like, cool, okay. So I did and like continued to take these psychology classes. And I think two things were happening, right? I was getting reinforced for studying a little bit more in those classes. So I was like doing it more. And also I sort of saw myself as like good at psychology, right? And so that kind of too, like my view of myself helped me to then, kind of engage, perform in those areas. Also, I thought it was interesting because I feel like even though I had been more quiet, I was a really like empathetic person and really people oriented. So I think finding a subject that was interesting to me sort of helped kind of align those pieces. So I was performing really well in my psych classes, and anyone that's been to college knows you also have to take like 2 semesters of foreign language. You have to take like science class. Yeah, my performance was not great across the board. Study skills really narrowly applied to psych. And, I was doing so well in psych that I decided I wanted to go to graduate school, right? It was sort of like the next step. And actually, like, it's a funny story. Like, that was very surprising to me at the time because we had actually had a speaker come to my high school to talk about her journey becoming a psychologist. And I was like, no way, that's way too much school. I would never do that. So I was really excited about this. And I went to talk to one of my professors about, well, what would it take to apply to graduate school? And was like shocked and disappointed when she told me, well, you probably aren't going to get into graduate school because your overall GPA is not great. And so, of course, that's like really disappointing, disheartening. But the purpose, if we use them, of negative emotions is to motivate behavior change, right? Like the innate purpose of feeling guilty is to tell you, like, hey, that didn't work out last time. You should do something different. And so, motivated to kind of like decrease those feelings, I started to apply myself more consistently. So then when I finally got into grad school, the demands really increased exponentially, right? And so I was feeling like really overwhelmed. I was learning to see clients. I was working on my research milestones, and I had classes and just like just a crazy amount of reading. And so I did like what anyone would do. I went to Target, got myself a planner, but like, at like 22, I had never had a planner before. And so writing down all my stuff in the planner like really led to this sort of palpable kind of feeling of relief, like, okay, I'm getting on top of this, right? That's reinforcing. So you're kind of hearing me kind of pepper this with like things that were reinforcing, taking away the stress with the planner, or taking away the guilt by applying myself more consistently, right? Or things that are like, reinforcing positively, like getting a good grade, or, so I'm kind of peppering this with like some of these things that I think kind of helped me develop. Another thing in academia that like no one in the real world cares about, but academics really do, is like getting grants and getting publications, right? So we write these research articles that like, a handful of people in the world read. And so, I was a first generation college student. And like I said, like had no dreams of going to graduate school, didn't really know what graduate school was. Seeing my name in print at the top of one of these articles was also like incredibly reinforcing. And I wanted to keep doing it. It made me feel like validated, like real, like I'm a real like budding psychologist. And so, kind of fast forward, you kind of moved into academia when I graduated. I had students of my own, and, again, because like getting articles published and getting grants is really important for success, right? Like I wanted to make sure my students were getting those opportunities. And so that kind of pushed me to like respond to emails fast. Like the faster I got back to them, the better they would do. And I really wanted, again, to sort of like, I saw myself as like, well, I'm competent. People are counting on me. And that really pushed me. So when I reflect on this the kind of like personality change journey in my own life, there was nothing like real intense happened. It wasn't like a big life-changing experience. It was these little changes in behavior and perspective about myself that really snowballed over time.
That's amazing. Because I know with my own experiences and just many people that I know, you just want to jump the gun immediately. You're like, I have
Mhm.
to make a massive change. But then what ends up happening is that when you start to implement the process, you end up getting burnt out because you're putting too much pressure on yourself. So I love how you're using baby steps to
Yeah.
slowly integrate. And I think that's how everybody should start. Just little positive reinforcement that you did. Hey guys, I would like to take a moment to introduce you to our app, Yoga Plus. You will have access to an incredible selection of videos led by top instructors in yoga, fitness, nutrition, and so much more. Download our Yoga Plus app available on iOS and Android today.